Hey, it's Jeff. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to prune and propagate a pothos, philodendron, and SCINDAPSUS, and even some reasons why you might want to be cutting up your plants. So let's get into it. So I'm going to start off by saying if you've never pruned or propagated a plant before, it can be pretty intimidating, it can be pretty scary. You think when you cut up a plant you're going to kill it, but it's actually quite the opposite. Pruning is actually really good for a plant. I'm going to show that here in a second. So for a few reasons as to why you might want to prune and propagate a plant, obviously the probably one of the more popular reasons is to make more plants. So I'm going to show a bunch of different cuttings that I have currently rooting in water here in a minute. But the reason why I want to prune this plant is because it's got this one long stem here and it's getting a little bit bare in a few areas. So one reason why you might want to prune a plant is to promote more growth so this plant can become more bushier. So I'm going to show that right here. Whenever you prune a plant, right here you can see there is a cut portion, and off to the side here there is a new growth point. So if you do make a cut, your plant will regrow, just not from the cut end, but from the closest node. And on this stem, if you follow it all the way back up into the pot, you can see right here, it has activated another growth point or another node. And you can see right here, it's pushing out another stem from the side. So pruning this branch promoted more branching, so I got one here and one lower in the pot here as well. So it will start to produce a new branch or new vine from there, filling in this area. So I want to do that again with this long stem. So I'm going to cut it back quite aggressively, pretty much right to the edge of the pot here, and I have this huge stem that I can propagate into another plant. So I have probably maybe 20 separate cuttings, which I'll show you how to do here in a second. I just noticed on this stem here, it is getting another branch. So from pruning this one stem, it has branched out in 3 areas. So up here and then in the pot. Everything in this video can be applied. This is a neon pothos. I think I forgot to mention it. This can also be applied, the exact same techniques, the same growth points, the same growth structure. Everything can be applied to a philodendron as well. This is my Brazil, and a SCINDAPSUS. This is the exotica, and I got a few other cuttings here as well. This is the pothos enjoy. There is a golden pothos and a Cebu blue in here as well. So I'll talk about those in a little bit, and I'll show you some examples of some roots in the water here. But I'm going to show you now how to, or where to prune this plant and how to propagate it. So I just zoomed in really close here. This is the stem that I'm going to be propagating. Here's obviously the pot. Like I said, I'm going to cut it back quite aggressively. So what you want to look for is an area in between 2 leaves. So here's the leaves. This is a leaf node. In between 2 leaves is called an internode, and you can see there is little bumps along the stem here as well. These are aerial roots, so these are where the new roots will grow from. So what you want to do is cut in between 2 leaves, so the internode, something like that. And then you have a nice long stem, which I'll show you how to propagate these into individual leaves so that you can make another nice full bushy plant pot, whatever you want. You can trade cuttings, make a new pot. You can add them into an existing pot. So there's an endless amount of possibilities with the new cuttings that you're taking. I'm going to be cutting these up into individual leaf cuttings, but you can take a stem cutting as well. Maybe not one as long as this, but if you want to make a stem cutting, you can take like a section that has like 4 or 5 leaves, propagate this end in water, so it's going to get some roots from the aerial root section here, so you can just cut off a couple of the bottom leaves and place that in water, and that's a stem cutting. So like I said, I'm going to be doing individual leaf cuttings, and the reason why I want to do this is each individual cutting will produce a new vine or new stem from its node. So if you have a section like this where it's got like 20 leaves on it, each of these cuttings will produce its own new vine. So if you put all those cuttings once they have rooted, if you put them all in a pot, it'll just make for a nice bushy pot of new neon pothos. So again, you just go down the vine, similar to how you made the cut, just cut in between nodes there, just something like this. You can see there is a little aerial root there, so I'll be putting those in water, and you just cut the entire vine up, taking all these single leaf cuttings. Some of these nodes are a little bit closer together, and And that's good because that means this plant is getting a lot or sufficient amount of light. If they are very stretched apart, like if you have a leaf node here and one maybe like 3 or 4 inches down the stem, it's probably not getting enough light. So it's getting a little bit stretched out here. You can see the internodes are quite a bit longer. When you make the cutting like this, you can trim off the excess here as well. But you can see there's a little aerial root lower down there. So I'm going to cut it off, but you can leave it. That will probably grow roots from there as well. I'm going to be putting these all in, or I'm going to try to put them all in one container. So I'm going to cut off as much of the stem as I can, just because it won't grow roots from the ends. It will only grow it from that node area. So just trim it up. I don't know if you noticed, but as the stem gets closer to the end, you can see the stem gets a little bit thicker as well. So that's what happens when the plant matures or gets more mature leaves, as the stem thickens up. I don't know if this container will be large enough or not, but I grabbed my wife's cute little crafting jar. Hopefully she doesn't notice. And you simply just place all the cuttings around the container, just making sure that the node here is submerged in water. And just stuff them in. It doesn't have to be anything pretty, just as long as, like I said, that node is in water. And I guess one of the important things after placing them in water is you want to make sure you have it in a bright, sunny location. So don't stick it like on a counter or under a desk or something like that. These need like a bright, sunny location in order to grow roots and grow them faster. So this is a little bit too large, so I'm just going to cut that back just a little bit. And like I said, I'm going to try and stick them all in here. I will change out the water about once a week. You just want to make sure it stays nice and fresh. Make sure it's clean. So I use filtered water, filtered tap water, and I have no issues with rooting these cuttings. Okay, so I'm just going to push this off to the side, and I'll show you the other neon pothos that were taken a month ago. I'll show you the roots on these. So hopefully I don't damage anything by taking it out. Okay, I'm just going to take them all out here. So here is the root growth for 1 month being propagated in water. This is a new stem. So it's got 2 roots here, and this is a new stem from the leaf node. I think they're super cool, super easy to propagate, and I love seeing the root growth in water. So I'm going to be potting these up today. I'll show you that in a little bit here. They all have really nice roots, new growth coming through in 1 month's time. That's awesome. So I'm going to set these ones aside. So these are all my neon pothos. Here is a golden pothos that I put in maybe a week ago. It's just starting to get some new roots there. This is the golden Hawaiian pothos, so I took a cutting off that, and I'm trying to make another plant. SCINDAPSUS, I just put this cutting in yesterday, this big one, so it's basically got no roots. I have another one here, I'll show you in a second. Here's another neon, I'm just going to set this aside. Here is an Enjoy pothos that I put in about a week ago as well. Doesn't look like anything big for roots on that guy. Cebu Blue, here is a little root right there. That one back in water. I'll keep these ones going for a little bit. I'm going to show these Philodendron Brazil here as well. I don't know how long these have been in water for. I think probably a couple months, so they are definitely ready to be potted up. This cutting right here has already sprouted a new growth point, and it's actually got another leaf node, so that's kind of surprising. I'm going to set this aside. Let's go through some of these ones here. Lots of roots. They're all entangled. Holy smokes. This is a long one. So you can see it's very similar to a pothos. They have the same nodes, leaves, roots, new growth point. So the procedure is identical to the pothos plant for these philodendrons. And then I'm going to show you this one here as well. This is my SCINDAPSUS exotica that I've been rooting in water. It's got a nice long root here, as well as some new growth. So I love propagating pothos and philodendrons. Here's micans that I put in water recently as well. It's got no new root development yet. And then here is a little Aschenanthus or lipstick plant. Same thing, it'll get to roots from the nodes. So I just stuck that in water as well. So, okay, I'm actually going to be potting up these Philodendron Brazil and the Neon Pothos together. I know it's a little crazy, but lately I've been combining a few different types of plants into one pot, and it actually just makes a nice, interesting pot. I have a pot of pothos plants upstairs where it has like 5 different types of pothos in it, and I love it. It's such an interesting plant. It's not just the same leaf, so these leaves kind of complement each other, and it's just a nice color pop. So I'm gonna find a pot to pot these up in, and I'm gonna plant them all together, and hopefully they transition nicely to soil, which I'll talk about that as I'm potting them up. Okay, so there's about a dozen cuttings here, and I'm going to be potting them up in this 4-inch terracotta pot. You can see it's got some water on it. I do pre-soak these, as terracotta is quite porous. It's very absorbent, so when you pot them up and I guess water them afterwards, terracotta likes to pull that moisture out from the soil and evaporate it, so you don't want these soil roots drying out for about the first 2 weeks. So I keep them well watered, and then once the roots transition to soil, then I'll cut back on watering to like a regular watering routine for these guys. So you want to let them dry out afterwards, but you just don't want these fresh water roots to dry up or get dry, because they will not survive for very long. So I'm going to be putting a little bit of soil in the bottom of the pot. This is a ProMix potting soil. I add some perlite in here, and there is even some orchid bark, so there's like an orchid mix in here. It just makes for a nice airy mix, well-draining soil. You don't want these guys sitting in soggy soil for very long. So I'm probably gonna fill up half the pot of soil, and then I'll just place these cuttings around the edge of the pot, and then just toss some soil just around the cuttings. So I'm actually just gonna put that right in there so I don't make a huge mess. So I'm just going to place them around the pot. Some might be a little bit longer than others. I'm just gonna put them slightly seated on the soil. Just stuff them down. This is not an easy task. You can like hold them, clump them together as well, which I probably should have done. Too late now. And then stuff them all in kind of the center of the pot, but okay, this cutting literally fell out. Jeez. Okay, huge mess on top. I lost a few cuttings. I'm just taking them out. Doing this over. Just real quick here. Taking some of the soil out. Like I said, I should have done this right from the start, and I knew better. I don't know why I did it like this, but take all the cuttings. Oops, that's a root. Clump them together, make sure they're all at the same level. Make sure nothing is... So something like this, almost like a little bouquet. Hold them all together. Just gonna put it a little bit deeper this time so these cuttings don't fall out. This is the problem with dealing with multiple cuttings like that. Okay, not gonna be so nice this time. I'm just literally dumping the soil in. Tried to show the nice easy way, or the delicate way of not damaging any roots or anything like that, but plant didn't want to cooperate, so it's just getting stuffed in there. Like that. So all the cuttings are in the middle. That looks better. Should have done that in the first place. There, that looks better. Happier with that one. Clump them together. Push down the sides so these guys stay more upright. There, that looks much better. Okay, sorry for the delay there. Again, learn from your mistakes. I'm gonna spray this off. The soil is just below the level of the pot there. That way it gives me room to water the plant. This looks like a nice full pot already with these cuttings. Here's my spray bottle that I feature on this channel quite often. I got it from Walmart for like $4. There's no brand name on it, just says Garden Pump Spray. I'm just gonna spray these leaves off. It's more of like a mist setting. It does have a stream as well, but it's just a tool or a plant tool that I use quite often. So just cleaning off the leaves. I usually do this like in the bathroom but I've got my little watering tray here as well, so it's going to clean off all these leaves, give it some water, and this little project is done. Get underneath the leaves here too, because usually lots of dirt and debris, so just want to make sure it's all nice and clean so it can properly photosynthesize. Well, not from the back of the leaf, but from the front. I'm going to water it until it comes out the bottom of the drain hole. I don't have my watering can near me here, so I'm just going to use this spray bottle for now. So like I said, just make sure you keep this well watered for about 2 weeks. Don't let the soil dry out, just so these roots can properly transition to soil. And that is it. Nice Brazil Neon Pothos combination. So here is the finished product, and I think the color contrast between the Neon Pothos, the Philodendron Brazil, and even the color of the pot just really makes these colors stand out and complement each other. A couple important things to remember when propagating plants in water, or however you do it, perlite, sphagnum moss, that sort of thing. Just obviously give it a bright location, but just remember it takes time for these plants to grow roots, and when you put them in soil or whatever medium that you pot it up in, it takes time to get new growth. So just try and have patience. Just enjoy the plant as it grows and learn from the plant. That's why I started this channel, is I'm constantly learning about how plants grow, how they multiply, all that sort of thing. So hopefully you like this video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave it down below in the comment section. Thanks again for watching my videos, everyone. Take care. Bye.